Hello, I'm Scott Bogren, the editor-in-chief of Digital Community Transportation Magazine and the director of communications for the Community Transportation Association of America. And I'd like to welcome you to our second Digital CT edition. In this edition, we are taking a fresh look at a somewhat well-covered topic, which is coordination in community and public transportation. And when I say a fresh look, we are really looking in this edition of our magazine to find out what makes successful coordination possible and what transitions coordination from being a process that kind of has to be endured to a useful tool that ends up doing what we all want it to do, which is improving service on the streets for our customers and passengers and the communities we serve. We've broken down this edition, I have a paper copy here. We've broken down this edition into 4 distinct sections. Our first section really ties into the title of the magazine, which is the infrastructure of coordination, and is one where we examine how buildings and facilities create what we like to call place, which also create the ability for new and different kinds of coordination to take place. Our focus is from big mega projects like San Francisco's Transbay Terminal, which is a $4 billion project which would eventually result in a 80-some-odd story high-rise connected to a 5-acre multimodal transit facility, something that large, all the way down to La Crosse, Wisconsin's Grand River Station, which provides some of the same, though at a different scale, some of the same impacts as what you'd see in San Francisco. We also look at Prairie Hills Transit in Spearfish, South Dakota, which in April will open up its brand new facility. What and how do these facilities work in rural communities? And last but not least, how are airports becoming intermodal coordinated hubs, and what kind of stands in the way of that becoming more of an issue? So that's section 1. Section 2 of the edition is going to really focus on model implementations of coordination. And model implementations is a fancy way of saying, what are some people actually doing with coordination that makes great sense and that is successful, is replicable? And so we focus on the Cape Cod RTA in Massachusetts, which has a kind of a technology and service coordinated plan that is really impacting the way the community can embrace that system. Also from Massachusetts, the Montechusets Area Regional Transit, MART, in Fitchburg, has a way of doing kind of a brokered service, that a lot of social services, and we thought that was a great model for how other folks could look at and maybe relook at how brokerages work. Also, we have some interesting ways of customer-driven and customer service type technologies in California through MV Technologies Time Point service, which again is a way of looking at how technology has a role in this. And lastly, we have a story on statewide rural ITS applications and how those work together and can make a difference. Our third section is looking at some of the new practices or theories or looks at mobility and how do those impact coordinated transportation. So we're looking at things like car sharing, complete streets, transit-oriented development. How are these theories actually being applied into coordinated practices, and trying to give you some background on what those theories encapsulate and how they kind of work. The last section of the publication it focuses on traditional coordination models, ones that we've worked with for years, that are kind of tried and tested. The award-winning Ride Connection from Portland, Oregon is the main feature in this section. We also have in here a roundtable discussion with people who participated in our institutes And I think there's some interesting answers from the coordination institutes that you may find useful. And the last part of that is, how do we measure the benefits and successes of coordinated transportation and learn from it? And so that is really the 4 sections of the publication. I hope you enjoy our second digital CT edition. I'd like to thank all of you who contacted us and gave us such wonderful feedback and frankly were so many kind words about our initial digital CT. We were very grateful for all those comments, and it kind of told us that yes, this is what folks would like to see from us. I'll also let you know that our next digital CT will be coming out in March, and that will focus on policy. We're going to reintroduce the Community Transportation Association's new reauthorization plan in detail and talk a lot about the policies and some legislation that will be impacting our industry as we move forward. Thanks for taking a look at this video, and again, I hope to hear from you soon.